Morning. How are we? Welcome to the YouTubes. Guido. All right. Matthew McConaughey, the GOAT. Strength programs, how to write them. Everyone's in isolation, so got a bit of time on their hands. Let's give them some tools to better their training or better understand their training, or practice some stuff, especially for the young trainers watching this who are interested in writing some stuff. Strength training, sort of put it in two little baskets really. We can write like a hypertrophy program for you to follow. Hypertrophy, so getting jacked. Hypertrophy, opposite to atrophy. Okay, so getting bigger muscles, and then we can have strength, which is sort of how I train, Olympic lifting or weightlifting. Obviously more power based, but in terms of their rep scheme, those really low numbers. So important to understand that to start, obviously, what you're after. And then there's a crossover, which is sort of how we program for CrossFit. We have that strength base of those lower numbers, and then we allow the workouts to fulfill the reps or time under tension for the remainder of the rep schemes. So yeah, first things first, as I mentioned in the last video, why am I writing this program? What do I want from it, essentially, is what your goal is. So you're sitting at home, you've got your whiteboard, you're in isolation, or your work's changed a bit, you can't get to a cohort, you can't get to a gym that's yours. I'm going to write myself a little strength program because I really want to improve my squat, I really want to improve my press, or I really want to improve my snatch. Either way, to be honest, they all come from a good strength program. So let's do it, strength programming. So we've got strength, we've got hypertrophy or getting jacked. Very simply under that, so you'll pick your basket, okay? Throw yourself in your little basket here. All right, legends, now we've got our baskets. Okay, so we've got a strength and a hypertrophy basket. All right, I'm gonna throw some stuff in here. It's good visually, I like this type of stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw some lifts in here. So it might go like in the strength basket, might throw some compound lifts in there. Okay, if you don't know what they are, anything that uses multi-joints, more than one joint. Okay, so you might go, let's just put for instance like a back squat, a deadlift, press, snatch, clean, rack pull, bent row. Okay, throw all those into that basket. Over here, we'll throw our rest as well. So this is our lifts. Throw our rest in. So depending on the athlete, might have say like a 1 to 4 rest. Okay, you might have a 4 to 6 rest, depending on which style you're going to go after. Okay, you could obviously break that down to a 1 to 2, but these are our rest periods. Okay, so this might be sort of like low end, and this might be high end. Okay, low end meaning sort of earlier in their career. So, say a power lifter of 10 years might be taking a 6-minute rest, which is fine, whereas a new age lifter, 6-minute rest might buckle them when they're trying to get back under. So what else you might want to throw in here is maybe sort of the balance of that. Okay, so the balance. Okay, we'll say like a push-pull. Okay, a hinge squat. Vertical versus horizontal. So these are the things you might want to throw in there to think about as you're programming that. And all you're doing is you're going to pick one of these bad boys, fill her up for you, and then break the program down from there. So for the hypertrophy, you might go the same types of things. So you might go lifts. You might still have these compounds. So you might have compounds lift, you just put compound there. But then you can have a lot more isolation work. Trying to break down those muscle fibers a lot more. Trying to limit that recovery a bit more. Isolation, so you might have like anything, and you also might have like a lot more free weights, so dumbbells, kettlebells, cables, pulleys. These tend to be a lot more barbell type orientated movements or like anything where you're using an iron bar. Sweet, so you might throw some lifts in there. You rest for the hypertrophy, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Generally the 1 to 2 minutes between sets of those same exercises, and then sort of like a 2 to 4 minute break, depending on, again, the training age of the athlete. But in general, 2 to 4 minute rest before I move from, say, this superset to the next superset. That kind of rest there. So what else do we throw into those baskets, guys? Probably the most used forms of strength and hypertrophy training are reps. So depending on the athlete, again, it depends on what you're training the athlete for. Between 0 to 5 reps for strength, and then I reckon you can also get away between 0 to 8 reps, depending on your athlete, especially for like single-sided stuff. So eight sets on a single leg squat, or 8 sets on a single arm bench. I think you can get away without doing too much damage to the muscle and turning it more into that hypertrophy stage. So something to think about for the young coaches is like, why am I using it, and how am I what's the adaptation I'm after? So for strength, I think these are your two rep schemes here. So 4 reps for hypertrophy, again, depending on the training age of your athlete, you might have anywhere between 8 to 12. So then for your second basket, you might go between 10 to 15. All right, so our baskets are getting nice and full. Can you guys see that? Do you want me to bring it in, or let's have a quick little spezzy? Sweet. Little mind map. My teachers would be proud of that. Another probably unspoken piece here is that you've got a bit of damage happening, a bit of collateral damage happening in either of them. So sort of getting this like neural fatigue here. You're getting a physical fatigue here, and that's something to think about when you're programming sort of your deload week, your rest week, how often you're training, and that's why obviously these types of programs, you get these nice bro splits, and then these types of programs you get sort of like those heavier compound days, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that. So these guys can train a lot more, and these guys have to probably train a little less in terms of overall volumes for sure. Like they might do, like for me, I might do 3 exercises in a day. Whereas I can get, a bicep, if I'm doing like a bicep back session, I probably get like 7 to 12 exercises out, depending on what I'm doing, obviously. So just be mindful when you're looking at this stuff. It's like you shouldn't be matching your hypertrophy program. Oh, I saw this guy doing a 6-day split, and I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it with squats and deadlies. Okay, prepare to not be able to fucking function, read a book, make a coffee. Like you're looking at 2 very, very different types of training. All right, so you've got your mind map. You're happy with how it's looking, and you think, okay, well, while I've got them both up here, I may as well just go for a little practice on both of them. So let's write a quick program that you can mimic for the next 12 weeks. Weeks 1, weeks 2, weeks 3, 4. Grab one of these. Okay, so let's go strength, we're gonna go 5 reps. 4, on this one we're gonna go, okay, 8 reps, let's go 12. All right, so here we go. I've got my reps 12. I've got my reps 5. I've got my sets 5. I've got my sets 3. Got my rest 1 to 4. Where's my rest over here? 1 to 2. Cool. I'm going to add 10 pounds for my squat. My compound lifts each week. Okay, so week 2, I'm going to add 10 pounds. I'm going to add 20 pounds. I'm going to have a deload or a week off here. There's my strength program for my first 4 weeks. That was easy, right? That was pretty good. My hypertrophy, same thing. Okay, on the week 1, I'm going to do 12 reps at my starting load, SL, starting load. So for instance, if I'm doing a bicep curl, I might start with 10 kilos. All right, the next week I might add half a kilo to my whole program. And that following week I add a kilo to each. And then have a deload, but I might do that at 50%, something like that. Right, so it's a very basic linear progression to adding load over time to get some strength gains. Now, as long as you understand the sequence, okay, so week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, deload on that 4th week, that's kind of been the way it's been for the last 15, 20 years and how they program, sort of like a 3-week cycle. You, as a coach, if you're working with an athlete or by yourself, you can manipulate that as you go. So especially at that higher end in these places, like your back squats or your cleans, if you start to see some detrimental fatigue, so you start to see some numbers dramatically drop, you might throw the rest in a week too. It just depends on what you as a coach and you as an athlete decide to do. So this is just a straight linear loading progression method. So another way to do it is just manipulate the rep scheme so that you can increase the load quite dramatically during the week. So obviously the one we just did was quite a small increment over that time. If you're a bit further down the line or your athlete's a bit more well trained, you might be able to drop the reps so that you can add an exponential load. So you might go from 5x5 to a 5x3. So you've dropped the overall load, which means you can increase the intensity. And then the same last week, you might do a 5-3-1. So that's a classic Wendler. For the bodybuilding, you might do the opposite. So you might go like an increase in rep scheme and a decrease in load. So the first week you might do a 3x10, the second week you might do a 3x12, and then a 3x15 on the last week. That's pretty common as well, guys. These are kind of the first types of programs you start writing when you get into strength training or hypertrophy training. They all work. Okay, the reason they've been around so long is because they work. And you can't really go wrong. You can just come back down and start that baby all over again. It's really, really simple. All you need is a whiteboard, some knowledge behind what you're doing, a why, and you should be able to validate that training. If you've got this written up and you know why you're training, and then you've written a nice little plan underneath, you're pretty much a step ahead. If you're at home and you want to do a mixture of these two things, like I spoke about earlier, and you want to have good strength, but you also want to build some muscle mass, there's probably an argument that you could do that with either baskets, and that would be a solid argument. You can definitely put on some size with hypertrophy training, no doubt. That's why it's called that. But you can also put on a bit of size with some really, really good strength training. Like a 5x5 heavy strict pull-up at 50% body weight is going to add some muscle mass, just because you're still getting that time under tension and you're doing enough damage to that muscle as you need to. But how do we do it put these two programs together? Well, quite simply, if we just chuck this one on top of that one and drop it down, you would take out those compounds, take them away from the hypertrophy work, okay, so that you didn't get too much neural fatigue if you added that to the strength work. And you would probably eliminate some of the, say, the snatch and clean work that you might not need unless you're going to do those movements. They're good for power output, but if you don't need them, then don't do them. If we split that further down and we go into days, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, so a 4-day-a-week split. Okay, you're going to go with back squat to start, and this is our neural, but we're just going to our strength, ST, deadlift, bench, press, and loaded pull-up. You can put a bent over rep. You can put a bent over row there if you like. So take your week 1, your 3x10, drop it down into your hypertrophy basket. Pick maybe three exercises. Do the same under your deadlift. So you might focus on, say, like legs, arms, back, front, and then you can just mix that together like a big hopper and just start to add some volume to your strength. Obviously, this is going to add a little bit more fatigue. Again, you're only training 4 days a week, so it's a nice way to lay it out. Monday, Tuesday, rest Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, rest Saturday, Sunday, or do most of your training on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, rest Monday, Tuesday, whatever you want to do. So, guys, that's all I've got for you. Let's have a look quickly. Pick my baskets. Draw this up, guys. Do this process. Once I've got my baskets, work out what I want to do. I'm going to come down, pick my weeks. I'm going to do 4 weeks. If I do 3 of those, there's my 12-week cycle with 3 rest weeks in there. Pick my rep schemes. You can pick those based on what you like. Okay, so if you like doing high reps, like 8 to 10s, Bulgarian methods, 10x10s, that's fine. Just be aware of which you're doing and how it's going to affect your body and what type of recovery you need to take. Come down, pick your lifts for that rep scheme. Are you going to do a seated strict press and a bench press and a squat and a lunge? That's all pressing. You can do that if you can validate it, and then maybe the following month you back it up with a pulls program. But just be mindful of those things that we spoke about. Vertical, horizontal, hinge, and squat, push and pull. Balance the program. Underrated piece of advice. Once you've picked those and you've got your rep schemes, you've got your rest, okay, what does my accessory work look like during the day? So am I going to do a 3x10 hypertrophy work, or am I going to do more power output work? Am I going to do some plyometric work, a 5x10 bound, a med ball throw, a med ball rotational slam? You don't have to do hypertrophy work after. Injury prevention work, am I going to do some isometric contractions, sitting up against the wall with a kettlebell, or am I going to hold a plank position with a plate on my back and get some tendon and ligament therapy through my elbow joint if I'm a golfer? So just being smart. What is the reason behind it? And once you've got that, get your days down and then put your days together. Okay, well, if I do Monday and Tuesday, I probably won't be able to walk Thursday, so maybe I should do Monday and Friday together. So pick your days appropriately. Okay, am I going to do my back day after my arm day? Probably not, because my muscles that help do my pulls are going to be fatigued. So just having some smarts about how you're doing these things, and then moving forward from there. What does my recovery look like? What does my sleep look like? Have I reassessed my program? Not changed it, reassessed it. Wow, last week I couldn't put my seatbelt on my car. I forgot to use my blinkers. I think maybe I was a bit neurologically fatigued. I should manipulate my rest a little bit more, manipulate my reps a little bit more. Or I couldn't wash my hair because my biceps were so sore from the 10x10 bicep curl I did at 100 kilos. I should probably change that and throw that on a Sunday, then I've got Monday, Tuesday off. All right, so although it's very, very simple and I'm giving you guys a basic rundown, hopefully you can understand the process that a coach goes through to write this type of stuff, especially, this is just strength. You add somebody's running background, add the CrossFit method on top of that after these back squats, and you really start to understand how managing load, managing fatigue, the balance of that type of stuff gets involved, and hence why people have these coaches and these programs are online. So please, if you are training for something specific, grab a coach, don't write this stuff yourself. If you're at home and you're just playing with stuff, you want to get strong, you want to have a practice, please go for it. Enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things to do. I geek out a lot of this stuff because I've tried a lot of it and tested it either myself or with my athletes, and I've gotten it wrong many times, which allows me to then go, oh, I'm not going to make that mistake again. If you're on that journey and you're going to enjoy those beat downs, then welcome, and I'll see you on the other side. Enjoy. Cheers.